Happy Friday, everyone. I think actually, let me look. Yeah, I'm joined here with Wally and Mr. All right. So, as promised, some of you were here yesterday, and we had a little bit of a we'll say pre-gaming to talk about some of the things we're going to bring up today. But this is a talk about really a new opportunity that has come to us here at yAxis. But to kind of preface it, I do want to first acknowledge all of the great feedback, the ideas, the other commentary that we've received from you over the past few weeks. We really do understand how you feel, why you feel that way, because we're investors too. I'm fully invested, locked up for a year in the protocol, and I know between the market conditions and what's been going on with yAxis, overall, it can be stressful sometimes, without a doubt. And this has been a big topic for us, which is hey, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do to bring value to the project? What are we going to do to kind of turn the tide? And is it something along the lines of what we're doing now, or is it maybe there a more significant pivot in our future? And in discussing this along the way, another project did approach us with an opportunity that we're going to talk about today. And I think, Mister, maybe this is where I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, thanks. And I just invited.
Rolling up of all these different challenges that have presented us with, a limited set of options, a limited set of um, things that we can do to move forward. So, really, this is you heard 37, and the reason we call this the catalyst event is because that is what we need, right? Regardless of how we proceed and how we do a token swap or a secondary token, addressing emissions, addressing the tokenomics to try to incentivize against people dumping rewards, right? All these different things are really on the table, but at the end of the day, what we do need is some sort of strong justification, right? Really a catalyst event, something that will renew interest. It will get the excitement going and really rev up not just you guys, right? The community, everybody on this call and everybody in the Discord and Telegram, right, that are following us, everybody that's holding yAxis. We want to make sure that we are coming out of the gate strong, right? We do not want to go into any sort of swap or secondary issuance of tokens on kind of a back foot, right? We don't want to just come out and say, "Oh, here it is," and it's what we need to do, right? It's what is not just what we want to do, what we should do, but what is going to be that big new vision, right, that generates all this momentum for us. And in doing that, I think for the folks that were on the call yesterday, you'll remember how we spoke to kind of this new opportunity presented to us, this merger opportunity presented to us, and we spoke to it a little bit vaguely, but we do want to give everybody a bit more detail as to what that really means, right? So let's just cut to the chase. What we're looking at is essentially a token swap, and we do need to address our emissions runway. We do need to address, the liquidity available to us, and regardless, what that looks like at this point is a big opportunity for us to partner up and merge into a new project, right? And that new project will give us the ability to turn yAxis into that really that behemoth of a project that does finally realize that vision of making DeFi easy, but also making it accessible. And really, that's what we've been trying to do with our Avalanche launch, right? Getting on a cheaper, faster blockchain, to reduce the friction and the barriers to entry, trying to get that retail user, right? Get that retail adoption. And that's what we have now. We have this opportunity to come out of the gate with this token swap really strong, right? And what that opportunity is for us to merge with a project called NumisMe. Okay. That is the merger opportunity on the table right now. And before I get into kind of how this new world is going to look for us, I was thinking, Misom has been a great asset to the team as a DAO council member, right? He's also got this, he's just launched this new project. And this new project called NumisMe is, the vision there is just grand. And with our combined forces, it can be even grander. But before I continue, I want to see, Misom, did you want to kind of tee up what how NumisMe came to be, what the vision is, and, just some thoughts from you, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, loud and clear.
Fantastic. Yeah, some of you guys already know this. The original vision here was, and this probably happens to everybody out there, is like, when we go to a gas station or a Walgreens, and if we pay something with a credit card, we get our receipt, we leave. But, sometimes we also have cash. Maybe we got it from like a birthday or something. The cash is not like, it's not there, even if we try to use more plastic as we're growing in America, but still, cash still exists very much, quite a bit. So whenever you go and make a payment on cash, what I used to hate about that was that when you would get your change back from that transaction, it'd be like, 88 cents, and maybe it's 5, 10, 20 bucks and then maybe you can put the cash in your wallet. Then what do you do with that 88 cents? Do you put it in your car? Do you leave it with the cash register over there because you don't need it? Or does it just kind of get lost around in the environment? Because it's becoming more and more extinct, the use case for actual physical change. A lot of companies are now already accepting and starting saying exact change only, or there's a coin shortage, etc. We can't even buy air. I used to could be able to get take the car and get some air. That too now is on a credit card. So the idea popped at that moment back in the day was, hey, wouldn't it be awesome that I could just tell them that, hey, you know how you just get a refund on your exchange or on a return or something, and it goes straight back to your bank? How cool would it be if right at the register I could say, hey, don't hand me this physical cash or this change. Can you just send it to my bank? And they say, sure. So then that idea kind of developed into like, hey, do we have something here what if there's an app that someone could go in and say, hey, NumisMe, meaning how we say Cash App me, NumisMe, meaning that you'd scan your barcode on your app, take the scanner gun, or just bring your phone close to it, and so then your app would be registered by the merchant, and they would electronically send you your change back. So now all of a sudden you don't have to carry those 88 cents, and they don't have to get lost to the environment. Nothing is ever lost of your net value. It costs about 3 pennies to make 1 penny. That's just stupid mathematics there of what the government is spending to keep something alive that really doesn't have any value to continue to exist. The material cost alone is more expensive than the actual value of it. So the environmental issues involved in it, where all of this. So there's so many other aspects of this, but just keeping it on that simple side, from the end user, when we looked into it a little bit more, it was really cool that I don't have to carry cash or get my change back in cash. You can also have a hybrid setup in there where you could technically say that, hey, give me the 20 bucks physically and that 88 cents, send it back electronically. Ideally, however, that could be a habit building platform, but ideally it needs to get to still a point where that is also turned off, in the sense that the savings for big box stores when we looked into that research, were just tremendous. Billions of dollars were being shown to be saved by Walmart because that's the amount of money that they spent in cash management, a ridiculous amount every month, and then of course add that up in a year. And that cash management means paying for cashiers, shift changes, counting that money, buying all of these rolled nickels and quarters and dollar bills so that the cash register can be maintained, having securities like Brink take this money up, take it back, theft, the time that takes to do a shift change and counting all that, all gone. Ideally, you'd simply go up to a machine and you would put your $100 into the machine, and then the machine would take your money. Say your groceries are $50 and certain change, and then it'll pop back up and say your change is $49.88. And then it will just be a number that pops up electronically on the machine. You take out your phone, you scan your barcode, your money's in your app. You walk out. All right, so no cash was needed to be handed, and the savings on the big box stores is that they become technically cashless. But with the caveat here is that it's not like our current situation where they're saying we only take debit credit cards. That's a trend that's happening. No cash or exact change only, things like that. So we're not inconveniencing anyone. The big box store can take all the cash in the world all day long. Is just continuing to get stored in there, but it has to not be managed directly on the outside because there's nothing to give back on the cash end. So a tremendous shift in an evolution of where tech was already headed, because we are already getting all of everything in an electronic format. So cash was eventually going to find its way into digitization. Unfortunately, of course, if you have Chinese environments where you have government control on it, that can be a risky situation. So therefore, we need people like maybe NumisMe on first to market on this, so that this can be not a private event, and DAOs and other systems can come into play, or private companies where this digitization is happening in a manner that it's not like China that Uncle Sam has all knowledge of everything, and that won't fly anywhere in our community. But one pivot that I wanted to also add to that thought is that when I came up with that idea, the first thing we had to do was we wanted to say, okay, well, this is a great idea. No one else has thought of it. Let's get it patented. So we did that first. So now if someone wants to do, we go to any big box store and they say, oh, well, God, we love this. And all it is just a tweak to our POS system and just a way of doing something different in a technical way, a few changes and a few movements here and there, and then we can start doing that on our own. But we have the patent. So we came up with the idea. So you'd have to license through us. So we wanted to get that side out of the way first. We also wanted to get tokenomics aspect of it going, where we had a crypto version to it. So it's basically a two-pronged vision over there, where you've got the real life setup where you are genuinely out there and converting physical cash at the retailer at the point of sale location where all business really happens, and creating an environment of digitizing technically speaking, the cash from physical to electronic money. Now, that when it's electronic money, it doesn't mean that it turned into a crypto coin. No, it's just an ACH right back into your app immediately. So you just have it there. From your app, we would give you a customer three options. They can send the money back to their connected bank account. Not. You can leave it in the app, especially for those clients that don't have a bank, and use the app kind of like Cash App to do their new buying and purchasing with their debit card inbuilt in the app. So they can still use it in app. They can keep accruing their change in there. And then we are going to emphasize about the crypto element of it, and the only coin that they can buy from our app is going to be the Noom coin, period, which NumisMe, the crypto coin on it, is the Num side. So and a little bit more on these technicalities. I'll eventually pivot back to Mr. On the deeper details of it. But the point, the surface aspect of it is that the client will be able to purchase that token, and right from that we already have their cash managed in the app, and so it's a swap right into the into the blockchain, and now they have a token, and the app already has an inbuilt wallet, non-custodial. So they can then from there use the inbuilt DEX to swap it into ETH if they wanted to. Ideally, they want to hold, and that's where the hold mechanism will offer them DeFi platforms like staking and all the other colors that come with it. So point being, we will try to incentivize that they want to hold, and even if they didn't want to, they can absolutely, there's no control, swap into any other coin that they want to. But the key victory here, the vision was, one, adoption into crypto at a POS location where it really is all happening, from physical cash, which I think there's a circulating amount of about 4 trillion physical cash at any time. How wonderful no one's tapped that market if that can start flowing in and become electronic, making it convenient for it, and we guide them right into crypto. And once they get, and the only way they can get in is the Noom coin. And then now the other aspect, the bypass here, like China, for example, it can come in and, countries can come in and say, no more crypto, no more Bitcoin, we're banning it all up. When they do that, they can't really enforce a complete ban on crypto, but what they can enforce is tell centralized banking environments that they cannot work with centralized exchanges. Now, how are you going to get your crypto? So it makes it really difficult. But through this app, you've ended up really creating a bypass for all of that. I'm not saying that, the billionaires will be able to bypass it. No, but the average person will simply be able to purchase something and get their change back, and continue to add that money up in their app. And if they wanted to get into crypto, they don't need to have a bank that is then connected to a Coinbase and then make a purchase, fund the Coinbase, then make a purchase, and then wait a week until they can take it back out into their private wallet. No, you immediately jumped into the purchase, and you're already in your payment was swapped, and you're already got the coin, and now you can turn it into ETH if you like, keep it where you want to, or do any other compatible coin. So it's a complete bypass of centralized systems, and technically of any government trying to say that this is going to get banned. So that's the vision here. There may be some technicalities, and we'll make sure that we work those out as we go. But so that brings that was where the vision was, that okay, a combination where you've created a situation where you are bringing the DeFi banking environment to the average person on the one end, and you're generating revenue ridiculously because you have a real life value where you're collecting and bringing in a source directly from the POS point of sale locations. You merge that, and we do this right, we've basically solved both ends of the puzzle, and created an ecosystem that can continue to generate fantastic revenue and give life to both sides, and they interoperate into each other from that aspect of it. So basically, that's the more so the vision over here is use that tech, get into big box stores. We're working on all that. All other things are in development. We have the patent as discussed, and then also when they get into the coin, as we drive them in, we're not letting any other coin in. It's just the Noom coin that they can go into. So, but when these masses come in and they go into the coin, then giving them a utility to that coin so it can do something with it. That's the vision. I may have left some parts out, and we can circle back to those things. But back to you, Mr. Mister.
Thanks, Misam. Yeah, that's that vision is really grand, right? And I think to just kind of like hammer home that point, it's that true retail adoption that we're looking at, right? And what better way to go after retail than to actually integrate into retail point of sale, right? These are the average people, right? These are the kinds of users that we're looking to onboard into crypto, into DeFi, really, right? In order to allow folks to, let's leave the banking narrative aside for a second, but to allow folks to truly be sovereign on their own wealth, to really give them access to financial products that they may not have had access to before. Maybe it's because they're unbanked, right? There's a vast number of Americans, let alone folks around the globe, that do not have access to banking services, right? And that right there freezes them out of being able to onboard into crypto, being able to use DeFi, use decentralized finance services. And I think that is really powerful there, right? Because, when we think about what yAxis has been, like I said before, what we've been trying to do is to get that, being able to realize that vision that we've been, talking about this entire time, which is making DeFi easy. It's making it accessible, right? Going after the retail user. And now we find ourselves in a place where yAxis does have the tech. We have the IP, right? We have the infrastructure that essentially provides pretty much, at least at a high level, the majority of the different types of products that you see within the DeFi ecosystem, right? So our IP, our tech, there's true value there, right? And that value is in being able to bring these services to the unbanked, to the folks that have been, hesitant to hop in because maybe it's too confusing, right? The words that are the words that are being used are the concepts that are being, used are really not for the average Joe, right? And that, I think, is why this opportunity for us to be able to leverage our tech, leverage our IP, the learnings that we've gotten along the way, right? The experience that the team has within the DeFi ecosystem, being able to leverage all that value and really almost overnight be able to onboard retail users through NumisMe's core IP, right? Which I should mention is backed by a patent, right, Misam? We have, the opportunity now here to become this larger project, an even grander vision, right? As big as Misam's vision is, and as big as yAxis's vision has been, which it truly is a big vision, we're talking about making it even bigger, right? And we're talking about positioning ourselves as this, not just a one-stop shop for DeFi where you can, take advantage of yield services, where you can, have self-repaying loans through our Borrow product, being able to go after multiple different chains, right? Having the ability to dynamically control our emissions, to dynamically control our buybacks, right? Being able to potentially reward users in non-native token. All of that represents this new entity potentially that can become this gateway to DeFi, right? This gateway for the retail user to come in and really start to do everything that, the DeFi degens, right? The DeFi natives, I should say, rather, have been playing around with, but in a simpler way, right? And so, what we're talking about here is essentially token swapping the yAxis token into the NumisMe token, which is called Nume, Nume, right? And that right there, that immediately gives us a catalyst event. We have this grand vision. We have this ability to become this gateway to DeFi for the average user. And everything we've been doing so far still applies, right? The way we control our yield, right? Or the way we generate yield, the way we control our inflation, and the way we look at how and the kinds of strategies, how we generate this yield, the kinds of strategies that we deploy, right? And so, all of that to say, what we're looking to do is basically merge and rebrand yAxis as NumisMe, and like I said before, almost overnight become this gateway to DeFi. And just kind of like to quickly cover off on a few technical points here, there have been a lot of learnings, first of all, right, that we've gathered along the way, right? Whether it's on purpose or not on purpose, there's been a lot of learning happening, right? And through that learning, the things that we're looking to do is make sure that we do have the ability to generate the revenue that gives us not just a runway, but also gives us the ability to make some of these core tokenomics changes. So to go back to the technical points, right? The Noom token is a reflection token, right? And what that means is there's kind of a tax on every transaction on the Noom token, and that amounts right now to 9%. Okay, and what that allows us to do is just by the user holding the Noom token, we can send 6% of all transactions distributed right back to Noom holders in the form of Noom, right? And that right there is a powerful reason to not sell the rewards, not sell the token, and to hold, because just by holding, even if you don't interact with the DeFi side, you're increasing your wealth, right? You're increasing your bag. But then, there's another 3% tax remaining, right? And the way that's divided up is 1% of that, of all transactions, 1% gets split up and put into the Noom LP on Uniswap. And those LP tokens then get burned. So that is permanent, forever liquidity that won't ever go away, right? And that 1% that goes into the LP not only secures our future, makes sure that we don't have to rent our liquidity by putting out oversized emissions. It also represents an organic buyback, right? Because you have to acquire the Noom token with that 1% in order to pair it up with the ETH to go into the LP. So that right there has multiple benefits. And then there's another 1% that goes into the dev fund, the development fund. And that it comes to us in the form of ETH. And that will be able to fund all those different changes that we're talking about, right? In order to mitigate inflation, to mitigate emissions dumping, rewards dumping, right? And to build a new platform that incentivizes in non-native token, which is to say, rather than rewarding folks with just yAxis or Noom, reward them in a different asset altogether, be it a stable coin, be it ETH, right? That's still kind of there's no really we're not leaning in one direction or another, but it's great to have those options, right? And then finally, the remaining 1% goes into a marketing fund. And that's also been a challenge for us, right? Because getting that awareness, generating the hype, capturing all those eyeballs that we need to drive adoption and drive engagement, that 1% that goes into the marketing fund is always going to be sitting there waiting for us to activate when the time is right, and that gives us the ability to finally go after the bigger marketing plans that we've had this entire time, but haven't really been able to realize at scale because paid marketing is not cheap, right? And so we've tried to navigate that recently by paring down, kind of thinning out our marketing budget and trying to do a bare minimum marketing activation that was hopefully going to be amplified by the community. The challenge we've seen there is we just do not have the momentum on the brand at this point. We don't have the widespread community that's able to really amplify the message and get even more eyeballs on all the marketing activities that we've been doing. So that to me really represents a new opportunity, a chance to finally do things the way we've been hoping to do them this whole time. Of course, limited by capital is kind of a big deal, right? So, what that might look like in the future is we execute on our marketing plans that we've had, these big activations that do actually come with some serious dollar signs, right? But also because we're now talking to retail, right? We're talking to the average user, and we're looking to get in front of folks that may not even know what DeFi is and maybe barely know what crypto is, right? But they have that interest because they've heard of it. Now we have an opportunity to turn on some more traditional marketing, right? There's the crypto DeFi marketing, which is very different, right? There are some really similarities between traditional marketing and crypto marketing, but at the
Hey, dude.
activate on traditional marketing is that that is the world that a lot of us come from, and we know that world really well, right? So yeah. So anyway, so that's a little bit of technical, some of the technical points of how the Noom token works, and really, to cover off on what that larger entity might look like, how we become this retail focused gateway to DeFi. It could look something like this, right? We are we're looking to revamp the yAxis user experience, and certainly the front end of the app. Right, we're looking to completely we're looking to reduce the number of clicks. We're looking to change the way we talk about our products. Right, with all that the DeFi concepts of vaults and yield and emissions, and then you get into gauges and voting escrow and curve inspired this and that, and hey, by the way, all of this comes with a baseline requirement for a baseline understanding of finance, right? We want to make it a little simpler, or a lot simpler, really, right? To allow a user to really interact with us with language that they're more familiar with, right? Where you can save in a product, and maybe we reduce the number of options, right? And we kind of really just focus on maybe a vault that is able to that is a stables vault that is able to take in multiple kinds of stables, right? And then we pair that up with a staking or a locking product that will give people an incentive to lock up their rewards, right, rather than sell them. And maybe what that might also look like is, the new version of our vault, which would be kind of the savings product, would potentially be rewarded, and yield is boosted in the form of the Noom token, right? But then offer a product, the staking, locking, the incentive product to get to prevent folks from selling those emissions, from selling the rewards they get from the vault. When they put them into the staking product, they could be rewarded in non-native token. Right. So now we have this incentive system that says, hey, look, you can earn your yield, you can grow, you can save your wealth, your capital through our savings product, and you'll get Noom token for that. But hey, what do you want to do with that Noom token? You should definitely be holding it, because you get that 6% growth, right? Just by the fact that it has the reflection on it. But hey, why would you sell it at that point? You lose that 6% growth opportunity, and you are only going to be able to realize that the value of that token at one moment in time, with you give up your exposure to upside on the token, right? So why not give them the ability to go lock it up or stake it into another product that emits, that rewards, in non-native token like ETH or stablecoin. And all of a sudden, that calculus, right, in folks' heads are hopefully going to be changed a little bit. It's like, oh, sure, okay, I could sell this token here that I got as rewards and realize that right now in a moment of time, or I can go stake that and I can continuously earn ETH or stablecoin, which represents a passive income stream, right? And so that's one way that we could really, integrate that learning of one of the challenges we've been facing from a tokenomic standpoint, which is just seeing all the rewards get sold off, right? We want to provide folks a real incentive to want to do something else with the token, right? To want to generate passive income in the form of ETH or stablecoin. And so when you marry that side, the new yAxis potentially become NumisMe. When you take the new world of yAxis and connect it up with what essentially the Num token represents, the NumisMe IP represents as a retail onboarding channel, right? For that has a real world utility. All of a sudden, you have a complete picture of this complete ecosystem that allows folks to not only onboard without having to go through an intermediary, but also then use their what essentially amounts to cash that maybe that they may have lost, the loose change they may not have even considered as part of their budget. It's almost like this. It's not free money, but it can almost be looked at as free money, right? From kind of a psychological standpoint, where they're now able to go and play with it. We're going able to explore and learn and see what's possible in the decentralized finance world. And that I think is really powerful, because if you look at the DeFi space, this is a pretty unique value proposition, right? Everybody's always, us included, right? Everybody's always looking to increase or add additional utility onto their core tokenomics. But really, nobody has real world utility, right? This real world touch point where you can onboard fiat, where you can actually use the token in the real world, right? And we are starting to see folks we are starting to see projects that are trying to crack that nut. I mean, you have MakerDAO recently being the partnering up with Tesla, right, to give them loans. That I think it's a small use case. It's a really small pilot test right now, but it's I think that really speaks to how some of the players in the DeFi space are looking to make that jump over into the real world, get that real world utility, get those real world use cases, right? And so, I've been talking a lot now, but basically I'll just wrap all that up by saying, we're really excited for the potential to not just add that utility, integrate the learnings that we've gotten along the way, but really be able to realize that vision of going after true retail users, being able to deliver a product that is truly accessible and that does cater to the average user, the average Joe walking down the street, right? And so, yeah, I'm really excited for this opportunity. And I think, thank you, Misan, for being on the call and kind of explaining your vision. I think, that's definitely part of what really caught my attention. But at the end of the day, right, we are a DAO. And what that means is this is a proposal at this point, right? Something is going to need to happen, right? That goes without saying. But, one of those options on the table is this fantastic opportunity. And with that, Pap, do we maybe want to move on to questions, or maybe do you think I've explained this well? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think I'm impressed. You guys sat through all of that. There's a lot of information to take in, and I imagine, some of it may not make sense until you get a chance to sit down and read it. We do have a draft forum post for Discourse ready to go. We're just finalizing a few of the harder numbers in there before we do that. Yes. So let's see. We do a few questions. First one's going to be, let's see. He's really asking about the token swap itself. So from W time, what would the token swap be if I own 1% of the supply? How much percent of Noom would that be? I don't know. Are we ready to drop hard numbers, or is that going to come out in the post?
Yeah, let's save that for the forum post. I think it's a better forum, but
Mm-hmm.
no pun intended. It's a better forum to discuss these kinds of things than really here. But we do have a focus on making sure that yAxis holders, the yAxis holders, that you are taken care of, right? And I can't give you hard numbers right now, but those will be coming soon. Hopefully that's enough to just buy us a little time with you there, W time.
Well, he owns 1% of the supply, so
That's what I got out of that. Yeah. So yeah.
Let's see. Bob. So Bob Sacramento, he had a few questions, and some of these I think we'll probably also wait for the forum post. Not because we don't want to answer them. Some of these are a little more complicated, and some of the numbers we're still, I think, firming up. But rewards for vaults, will they be switching to the new token?
So yeah, I mean, will they be? That's up to everyone really on this call. But what it could be is yes, the rewards on the vault. So there has to be a little bit of an overhaul, not just on the front end. But we're going to have to make some contract changes and redeploy, which does come with significant costs. But yes, the plan is, if this does get approved, then what we're looking to do is reward the Noom, but also be able to reward a non-native token as well, as I was saying, like ETH or stablecoin.
All right. Max supply ratio for the new swap. I think those are all going to be in the forum post. Is there going to be a snapshot? Yes. There's. Did we actually do one yet? I don't. What's the answer on that one? Is that if there's going to be a snapshot of holders, lockers, LPers to prevent gaming the merger?
Right. So yes, snapshot is part of this entire deal. For all anyone needs to know, it may have already been done, but we're not going to broadcast when that snapshot has happened or will happen.
Okay. W time just said $5 billion. I don't know. I don't know what that's in reference to. It might have been in reference to something we were talking about. You could elaborate on that if you want, sir.
Actually, let's touch on that just real quick. It's I think he's talking about the total supply of the Noom token, and we do understand that looking at that from an inflation, from a dilution standpoint. Rest assured, we do have plans. We want to use our plans as marketable moments, right? Being able to promote how we're going to control dilution and how we will address the total supply. We don't want to put that out there just yet, but yeah, maybe that number is a little bit scary, but the plan would include being really mindful about how we get those tokens into circulation and how we mitigate dilution for yAxis and Noom holders, right? Because the math applies on to both, right? If we do merge.
Yeah, and if I may say here that before merge, that was created based on not knowing that there was a merge. So those tokenomics will be made correct, as Mr. was talking about it, or whatever it is, the dilution. Not my specialty on that side, but we absolutely have a good understanding and idea of what we're going to do about all that. One other thing I wanted to share, guys. No one asks this question, so I'm going to share it out anyways. What does NumisMe mean, right? What does it stand for? So I'm just going to give it to everybody. It's a term that comes from the word numismatics. You guys can Google it, numismatics, and it basically means anything that is dealing in currency, change, coins, etc. So that's where the original name comes from, numismatics. So then we said, okay, what if we just, how you say, hey, cash at me or something, Venmo me. So it'd just be NumisMe. So that's my little 2 cents.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I wondered what it meant. I googled it first time I heard it. I was like, oh, okay, it's like a whole subculture related to like coin stuff. It's very interesting, actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's a really clever name for sure. I may be a little biased, but I think it's it speaks to kind of the core IP, right? But I think just to touch off real quick on what Misal mentioned as far as the tokenomics, the DeFi management side of all of this, not being the expert on his end. That is also why this merger would make sense, right? Because this team does have that experience, does have that insight, and that understanding, especially based off the learnings we've gathered along the way, to really come out of the gate with new tokenomics and a new way of doing things that will address so many. I maybe go as far as to say, address all of the issues that we've been facing, right, over the past year or so.
and we have one question from JetRed311, and it looks like Tisk linked them to a comment from RT yesterday, but maybe a chance to elaborate a little bit. He was asking, what does this mean for the product roadmap? And as far as I know, it doesn't really mean that the roadmap is notably different for now. I mean, obviously, this would be something we would need to talk through with the community and with NumisMe team as we integrate things. But I believe, if anything, it's going to enable us to do the things we had on the roadmap more effectively than before. Would that be an accurate way to describe it, Mister?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just to kind of get down into the weeds a little bit for just to address that question, we have our next milestone, right? The self-repaying loan feature that is really on the cusp of being launched, and we have been, looking for the right way to launch it. And actually, this does represent what I believe is the right way to launch it into new momentum, right? Into a catalyst event. And we bring that self-repaying loan feature into the NumisMe world, right? But beyond that, right, the immediate term roadmap would include, UI rehaul, right? We'd need to do a platform overhaul and to make things easier. All the things I was talking about before about using more relatable terminology, but also really thinning down the number of options and really the number of clicks that are required of any user. There's that in the immediate term, but in the long term, what this merger would represent is the ability to rework the entire roadmap, right? And branch out into things that really, for us, we've been talking about, but haven't really had a clear line of sight on, how to achieve things like, we could talk about things like maybe even, bringing, credit card services online, or some sort of fiat rail integration through partners, being able to integrate with other transaction platforms, right? Maybe it is a Cash App, right? Maybe it is going into Block. Because again, that patent that is creates basically a moat around NumisMe's core IP, is really a competitive advantage, and it is going to protect the project from having folks copy it, but it also is going to protect the project from industry incumbents, the big boys, right? The Venmos and the Cash Apps, from just adding on this one aspect to it, which is that change, that the point of sale terminal integration. And it actually opens up a potential new revenue stream down the line where, those big boys may need to license that tech from us, right? And, I won't get into any of the other stuff because those, it's almost, why would we start building a roadmap before we know, right, that this is even a thing based on the DAO vote, the YIP that is forthcoming? But yeah, the roadmap would be delivered as planned in the near term. We would have to do some rework to kind of position ourselves for this new world. But then looking to, future opportunities to, add additional features and really add more revenue streams into this larger new entity.
Oh, good answer. Good answer, Mister. So we have a few more comments, a few more questions. Let me see. Yeah, we have a little bit of time here.
Yeah, keep them coming. Let's go.
Let's see. Go back up. Yeah, when Binance, when Moon. I know Misom is aggressively.
Well, instead of when Moon rather. How about when Noom? That was a joke. Sorry, but as far as centralized exchanges, also something that's definitely possible now, right? Our token supply and our capital, risk kind of limitations have kind of prevented us from going down that route. But yeah, that would now be back on the table.
Mm-hmm. Snapshot already happened. I know we talked about that, but just, we won't confirm or deny anything at this point. If, WTime did suggest maybe thinking about doing a snapshot after the announcement, but that's perhaps something to discuss internally, as part of the forum discussion. Let's see, the app. Yeah, so there is an app. I believe it's going to be going into a rehaul. Obviously, we're bringing, we would bring new services, new features. There's things they want to change. But there is an app. It's actually pretty simple, pretty clean for now. As far as KYC, like
the app side of it, that real world side of everything, right, is something that we're really excited for. And I do know that Misom, I do believe you have plans to rehaul that, and I think it's already underway, right? Trying to relaunch that app. Oh, you might be on mute, sir.
I think we lost him. But the answer is, yes, I have heard him talk about that. I just don't know any specifics. I think he just disappeared.
I think we did. Yeah, let's bring it back on stage.
And then Leveler.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, hey, Misom.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I got off somehow and then now I'm back. But yes, the app already existed. It was already on Apple and iOS, kind of like in the beta stage in the reference that the app was created. But it was now we've got some new stuff that we're looking at. So we blocked the app from being downloadable right now, and we are already in very aggressive, beautiful conversations with some really good developers and everything, so that we can give an uplift, bring it up to date, make some tweaks to it. Ideally, if this moves forward, then add the Web3 elements to it. But nonetheless, the Web2 elements also still needed a complete overhaul. So I would say that we would have, if this moves forward, we should probably have, I don't want to give timelines. I know Mr. doesn't like that, but a few months and we should have a back that's downloadable again on Google Play and what's the other one called? App Store.
Yeah, and then Leveler was also asking about KYC to use it. So I don't think we are still a DeFi.
You're doxed. Yeah, my side is doxed. So as of right now, if this moves forward, then I would imagine it would be like a hybrid situation where we have several team members that are already open, and then other people can also become doxed later on or not. But we have enough people that KYC is covered.
Yeah, and I think what the also leveler might also be getting at there, Misam, is in terms of onboarding into the mobile app, right? What are the compliance considerations on that side? And you know, there very well may be. You know, I'm not, you know, maybe Misam, if you want to speak to that portion,
Yeah.
but keep in mind for folks like you, Leveler, right? You're already a DeFi native, right? This wouldn't affect your ability to access our existing DeFi infrastructure from a permissionless perspective.
Yeah, that's
Hopefully that
extremely
answers the question.
Yeah, that's extremely important, Mr. Mister. Yeah, on the DeFi world, we would keep building into more and more DeFi. It's just yeah, it's the same thing. yAxis just with a lot more energy. It'll continue to have that same existence, and I would imagine we'll keep building the borrow, lend, and all those things will all be there. The app, however, is going to also have the ability where it can drive adoption. And on the KYC side of it, if that was related to the app setup, same as Cash App, we're basically kind of pretty much modeled off of them. So just be a similar onboard experience for a customer. Someone did ask at one point in time, "Oh, what about fraud and this and that?" And I was like, "Well, you can't really run millions of dollars on the app. It's just going to be like you bought something for $50 and your $50 came back into it, and then you're just as an end user accruing that money up, and it's just sitting there. And if you're not moving it back to your bank, then might as well jump into decentralized finance, maybe call it a DeFi savings account, and purchase Noom to get into it. So we will creatively guide them into basically turning that maybe bank into an environment which simplifies DeFi for them. So for you, Leveler, and me, and other people that we know how to do that on the other side of the, and we're technical enough, that world will continue to exist and grow. But this will also give exposure to these other guys, and will simplify it for them so that they can also not have to have their money in a bank account which makes nothing a year. You know?
Yeah, and I think if the app's like it is now in some form or fashion, right? You have the ability to connect your own bank account or your own cards, you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
in that regard, I guess if you would consider that a form of KYC, it really isn't, right? But you would to use those particular functions, you would have to link your personal cards or bank account stuff in there. So that's just a feature of it. That's not the whole ecosystem.
That's correct. So you will have the option that if you have a bank and you want to move your money back to your bank, so or move money from your bank into the app, just like similar exact Cash App setup that you can connect a bank account. Now, what we're hoping to be able to do is create an environment where someone can still use basic information, basic KYC information with the app whenever someone's setting up, and be able to still have an app without a connected bank account, and then the app itself would technically become any money that's in there would technically become something that they could technically use as a bank because it has that debit card feature or peer-to-peer feature where they can send money to any other app user, exactly like Cash App, and they have an inbuilt debit card system which they can buy any kind of online purchases or real life purchases, however, just using the app itself. And then if someone were to do something genuinely wrong, like if you've got some client coming in and all they're doing is every 5 minute, every 5 hours, they're showing up at Walmart and all they're doing is buying a chewing gum and spending $100 and then taking $80-$90 of that and getting it into the change system again and again and again. That can be a little bit of flag, but that's going to be a lot of work for someone to just continue to go pay $100 again and again and again and continue running it through that. The easier way would have been that they were connected to the bank, which is a higher KYC, if they had a bank, and move money from their bank directly into their app, because you can move money from the bank into that. But the point is that it's not that easy to kind of game the system on there. And if you even tried, it'd be a lot of work, and it'd be easily identifiable that there's something fishy here. So those things would be in place so that we're in a position we're not doing anything wrong.
Thank you for that one, Misa. Let me see. So many great comments and questions here. Leveler asking about pizza. Let's see. Like auto taxes. Yeah, okay. I like the idea. Okay. Okay, let me see. Did I miss some? Oh, yeah, Bob. So Bob.
Hawaiian is my answer, Leveler. Just putting that out there. I took some flack for that before. I think we got that similar question before, but
Yeah,
I'll die on this hill.
you should get a lot of flack for that. Uh, let's see. Do we have to merge the two tokens? Why not do a protocol merger? Keep yAxis for governance, voting, etc., and then use NumisMe for rewards and votes. So I guess you guys have talked about that. So the thought process between merging the tokens.
Yeah, what we're really interested in is not just the access to funding and liquidity on the NumisMe side, right? But we are really keen on a rebrand because, potentially, and this is, just the way we're thinking through things, is one of the challenges that we have faced is, actually kind of a double-edged sword of the fact that we are DeFi OGs, right? We've been around since pretty much the tail end of DeFi summer in 2020, right? And with that comes a lot of trust and a lot of experience built into the team, but also with that comes any of the negative sentiment that may have, been, thrown at us over the course of the past year or so. And, all these other things that, may be hampering our brand perception, right? So, again, looking at kind of a catalyst event to re-energize the existing community, but also to be able to excite new users. That is really going to be, I think, best executed with kind of a fresh start, and that fresh start is that rebrand. So as far as kind of keeping a side-by-side yAxis for governance and Noom for token, core tokenomics, I think that, that is still on the table, and that's why we want to have these discussions in the forum. But it is our belief that a fresh start, a fresh brand is probably in yAxis's best interest.
All right, thank you, sir. And let's see. Yeah, some more comments. I think we may have gotten all the questions out of the way. So I'll just give you guys one last chance here. 5 seconds. If I missed anything, but I don't think I did. Now this is going to go up onto the forums, and we really truly invite you to provide feedback there, and we'll gladly engage you there. So yeah, I think that's it. So Mister, I'll pass it off to you for any closing comments.
Yeah, so like we've been saying, right, this is going to be taken to forum proposal. The next step after a little bit of discussion will be the YIP. But thank you, everybody, for joining. We are excited for this opportunity, but again, we are a DAO, so we're actually even more excited to really get back into that DAO mode, right? To get back into the conversations and the discussions, but really looking forward to seeing, the community engage and, see where they all stand on this. So as far as where the team stands on this, I think that's pretty clear. We do really like this opportunity, and we are going to be, really, for lack of a better word, we will be, advising that we take this route. But at the end of the day, it is your project, right? And we want to make sure that you have all the information, you see the vision, and that we answer your questions. So to that point, this is not the end of the discussion. This is just the start of the discussion. Please, when we do post that forum post up, please do engage, whether it's, critical, whether it's supportive, whether it's, just questions that you need to help inform your decision. We look forward to that. And, hopefully this becomes the start of that new world, that fresh start that we're looking for, where we can come out of the gate strong, get that momentum and keep that momentum. So yeah, all that to say, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks again for joining. And we'll definitely see you on Discourse, and we'll see you next time on Your Herd.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.